Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 104 of Psycho's Platters. I hope everybody has had themselves a good couple weeks of crate digging in life in general, fueled by coffee, of course. Listen, guys, reason why it's back in here today is because the living room is it's partly my fault, but there's stuff all over the place due to my recent travels from Chicago. Okay, remember I told you I was going to Chicago for my vacation. My vacation went well, actually. Thank you very much. For the most part, I did end up being able to get about 80% of my vinyl back up here, or down here, excuse me, which that turned out well. And while I was up there, I hit up a bunch of Goodwills, flea market with a good friend of mine, and well, I was with a bunch of friends for that, and some Salvation Armies too, and some smaller thrift places. I think I did pretty good. Oh, and I went to a half-price books outlet and a store. We don't have them down here, and I kind of like the places. I really, really do, even if the prices are just a little bit more than I normally would expect. So, like I said, hopefully by next episode, back where the turntable is, because I also have some other things I got to show you that I got over the last week too from brand new stuff. All right, so what this episode is pretty much is these are some albums that I picked up pre-vacation, and this will take care of all of the old product that I haven't had a chance to show you guys yet. Okay. All of these ones pretty much were Goodwill finds, except for the Ohio Express stuff, which I'll mention that in a minute. I got those at a different source too. But starting off from 1960, The Weavers at Carnegie Hall, Volume 2 on Vanguard. It's records, it's in stereo. Beautiful, beautiful black label on this. Now, The Weavers, if you don't know The Weavers, probably one of the biggest folk groups, period, in American history. Originally, they started in 1941, and they were called the Almanac Singers. They started out with protest songs shortly after about World War II, with original members at that time of Lee Hayes and Pete Seeger. Yeah, you know who Pete Seeger is. If you haven't heard of Pete Seeger, folk legend extraordinaire who played with many, many people as well over the years in his incredible solo career after he left this group. Of course, in 1948, they changed their name to the Weavers, and they added Ronnie Gilbert and Fred Hillerman. In the early 50s, Hayes and Pete Seeger got accused of being communists, thanks to the whole Joe McCarthy communist scare going on. Okay, the witch hunts, as we'd like to call it. Hayes and Seeger were some of the members singled out by the FBI and other organizations to be suspected as communists. See, but that's not what made Seeger leave the band. Pete Seeger left the band in 1958 after two things. Number one, they attempted to kind of be trendy and cut a rock and roll single, which I'm told was very dismal results. And but what really did it was when the Weavers decided to cut a cigarette commercial. That's what did it. Seeger's like, no, 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 tobacco's dangerous, kids, blah, blah, blah. Weavers thought otherwise, and Seeger left. They broke up in '64, and Eric Darling was the replacement for Seeger from '58 to '64, and then, believe it or not, they did pretty much 1980, a one-off year reunion where it concluded out in Carnegie Hall. Really good stuff if you can find it. That's the front. This is the back. Like I said, that is on Vanguard. Now, I thought this was kind of pretty cool, actually. You know how much I love bubble gum. I love the Ohio Express. I do. Very confusing, but very cool bubblegum band. This here is the album from 1968, Chewy Chewy. Look at the nice little white the blurb here. I think it's kind of funny. It says from Spartan Atlantic Thrift Center. It says manufacturer's list price $479. Our price $357. This is the front. This is the back. On the wonderful Buddha label. Looks in really great shape on this. Little quick little history on these guys. Like I said, very confusing but cool bubblegum group. They originally started out as a band called The Rare Breed. That was just for their first single, Beg, Borrow, and Steal. And then after that, a different band was used called Sir Timothy and the Royals. They came out of Mansfield, Ohio. That band got turned into Ohio Express. But here's the weird thing. You had basically two different Ohio Expresses almost. Now, what do I mean by that? Joey Levine, I love his singing. Pretty much when he came in originally to sing a demo for a future single, but Neil Bogart, the president at the time, said, I like it. This guy stays on here. So what happened is they pretty much go off and get Joey, and a bunch of New York studio musicians became the majority of the Ohio Express recordings. The Sir Timothy lineup ended up doing some album cuts and, of course, all the live work. They broke up technically in 1970. Two Little Notes of Point. Two songs on the Beg, Borrow, and Steal label on the Cameo label were actually really recorded by the Measles, which were led by Joe Walsh. Yeah, you know that Joe Walsh. In case you got that album, it's I Find I Think of You, and it's it's true. So, like I said, pretty cool finding this stuff. The one that is touring as the Ohio Express right now is Tim Corwin, the drummer. So the drummer that was on the live gigs and some of the Ohio Express cuts. Here's another one I found in the shrink. Yeah, that's right. Let's see here. Oh, here's the back. That's him. Okay, that's the one that's still going right there. But I found both of these in the shrink. Really, really nice shape. All right. Here's one that kind of was a head scratcher. Sort of, kind of, sort of. Johnny Beecher's Saks Fifth Avenue. Get it? I thought that was funny. I don't know much about him. I tried researching this, but he also was known as Plaz Johnson, I guess, and he was known for his tenor and soprano sax. This is his first album on Charter Records from 1963. Here's the front. Here's the back. Let's see if I can pull this Charter label out. Yeah, look at that. Extremely clean. Most of these were 50 cents or more. That was it. Okay, this one here. My new trainings of the last couple of years ago, pretty much anything I find on Verve, jazz related, you know I'm going to start picking it up now. So, I never heard of this guy before. Johnny Hodges, Don't Sleep in the Subway. Of course, when I start reading that, I'm start going to Petula Clark in my head, but we know what this is about. This, of course, is on Verve. This is a gatefold. This is arranged and conducted by Jimmy Jones. He also was known as an alto and soprano sax jazz player. Beautiful, beautiful Black Label Verve. If I remember correctly, this one's from 1967 or 68. But I also found this one, which really got a kick out of this. Johnny Hodges' previously unreleased recordings. Now, the other thing here, he was in Duke Ellington's band from late 1928 to the early 1950s. Disappeared, came back, with his, he had his solo career. Came back in '56 just in time for the I'm told iconic Duke Ellington 1956 Newport Jazz Festival concert. He passed away in 1970, and so therefore I'm going to show you this year Johnny Hodges' previously unreleased recordings. This is also on Verve from 1973. This is what stood out for me, though. See, it says DJ. Yeah, oh yeah. White label Verve. This is my first one. even though it is an early 70s Verve, it's still cool to have a white label promo on a Verve of that stuff too. All right. The classic performances of 10 years after. Alvin Lee and Company. Oh, talk about a band. Woodstock, just iconic. You got your classics here. This is from the mid '70s. You know, they called all the performances. You've got I'm Going Home, One of These Days. My favorite, I'd Love to Change the World. Really good stuff. Of course, this one here on your red Columbia tie. This one cracked me up to no end. I found another signed album for the signed album collection. How about this? Sincerely yours, John Gary, on RCA. Now, it was signed to somebody else, and I love it because he screwed up. I think he thought the person was Kelly, but it was Shelley because he goes, oops. Needless to say, I found two of these, two different albums. I gave one to Doug Fields. This one's on RCA International, by the way. I did a little research on him. He passed away about 25 years ago. So to find this 25 years later in a Goodwill, I thought that was amusing. I wasn't going to let that go. And lastly, I'm sorry, have you ever seen this movie? And if you haven't, I still think for a war movie, it was really, really cool. But I didn't know that they did a soundtrack to Patton. That's right, man. I almost feel sorry for these poor bastards that we're gonna run over with our tanks. Yeah. And it was George C. Scott. Yep, there he is, fully decorated. Carl Malden in a supporting role many, many years before Streets of San Francisco. This one here on a beautiful 20th Century Fox label. It says here on the front cover, including uncensored George C. Scott full rendition of Patton's address to the troops. All right. Shout outs. Give me a second. I had to write these down. Okay. I want to thank my new subscribers to my channel over the last 7 to 10 days. Miles of Vinyl. Paul Porter. Dixieland Farm. Hey, Dixieland, if you're watching this, I subscribe to all the channels that subscribe to me. As of half an hour ago, I just became your 1,000th subscriber. You, my friend, have 1,000 subscribers as of right now. Now it's time for you to shoot a video. 1,000 subscribers, man. That's pretty damn cool. Someday, Psycho, hopefully you'll get to that far. I'm almost at 150. I got a long way to go. But congrats, Dixieland. Okay? And lastly, I like this one. This made me laugh. Lord of the Ringos. Just with this free. All right, some other channels to check out really quick. Metal Theologian, Corey's VC channel, Supra West, Mr. Fartboy 79, and Zeke the Vinyl Geek. Go check those out while you're at it, along with Wax Museum with Ronnie Dark and Night Owl Lounge with Mike Adams. Sunday nights, 6 to 9 for Wax, 9 to 10 for Night Owl. Those are Central Standard Times. Go like them on Facebook. Both pages, please. Go listen. Find the links on their pages to listen to those shows. Thrifty Music Collectors Group, Tim Smith. We had a nice visit, didn't we, Tim, last week? Did some vinyling, moved around a little bit. We'll talk more about that next episode. Shindig, the best English music magazine around, and YouTube vinyl community. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this show. Please, you know what? Have yourself a great, great week. By the way, this is the last week for the contest. Last week for the contest. Hurry up and make your videos. Take care. God bless. Rock on. See you next week.